So Raid Shadow Legends is a RPG gacha game that is heavily organized against strategy and dopamine. So overview, I'm going to be talking about free-to-play versus pay-to-play players, dopamine within the game, account progression, in-game activities, and PvP versus PvE content. First off, pay-to-play versus free-to-play versus pay-to-play. So first off, free-to-play, it's a player who spends $0 on a game. With most games, your goal is to get those people who basically start your game. So you want as many players as possible, right? So you pump a free-to-play game out, and the more people you get, you're like, okay, now I want people to start spending money. So what they do is they start throwing out like random offers like this on your screen every time you log in. So they're trying to get you each time to pay for the game. Now, to keep a game going, you obviously need your pay-to-play players. So with Raid Shadow Legends, they heavily rely on their pay-to-play players. They throw out so many offers that they just want you to spend. So the thing about Raid Shadow Legends is they're owned by Aristocrat. And Aristocrat is a gambling company, and they own multiple casinos. So their goal is to try to get you to spend as much money as you can so that they'll keep their game going. So for pay-to-play, I have anyone who spends more than $1 on the game, and Raid Shadow Legends considers like different tiers of spending. So there's a low spender, which is anyone who spends from $1 to $1,000. There's mid spenders from $1,000 to $5,000. There's those high spenders anywhere between $5,000 to $15,000. And then there's whale accounts who spend $15,000 to $50,000. Or there's Uber whale accounts, which is players who spend $50,000 plus. So I went into our game chat and asked our clan about if it was okay if I asked how much money they spent on the game. And overall, we had a well over clan spending of $100,000. So looking at it, I only spent less than $1,000. So I'm in the low spending range. Then one of my other buddies from Europe, he's in the mid spender range, and he told me he spends about $50 to $100 a month on a video game. And then in the high spender tier, he told me that he spends around $100 to $300 a month. And then one of our whale guys, he spends around $500 to $600 a month. And he told me that they'll throw out these 2 times or 10 times events, and he said he just can't control himself. So he just like throws a bunch of money at the game. And then last is the Uber whale. We don't have anyone in our clan that spent over $50,000, but there are tons of clans out there that definitely spent upwards of $100,000 on their account. Next is the dopamine in the game. So the game is about collecting champions and then rolling gear. So of course, since you're trying to gain champions, you have to get shards. So their dopamine comes with selling shards. So everyone wants, go into a casino and spend $5. They want to win $1,000, right? So in Raid Shadow Legends, what they do is they have like summoning rates of 0.5% for legendary, 8% for an epic, or a 91.5% as a rare. So what they try to get you to do is when they have a summoning event, they want you to, use all your shards. Like, oh man, I didn't get that legendary that I wanted. I need to spend more money. So they'll throw out multiple offers at you and try to make you spend more money. So that's where a lot of people get hooked in the game, is because they're like, well, I didn't get what I wanted, so I need to keep trying for it. So, I have a credit card, so I'm just gonna keep running it up. Now, the other part of the game for dopamine is collecting gear. So in anything you run, any kind of dungeon, any kind of like event, you get gears for every time you run it. But with the game, there's so much RNG, which is like a random number generator, is where you can get an amazing piece, but when you roll it, you get like bad stats on it. So you basically just trash a piece. So sometimes what the game will do is like, they're like, instead of you spending $50 to possibly get a good piece, they'll sell you these artifact packs. They'll be like $60 for one pack, and they'll sell you 4 or 5 of them. And what they do is like it gives you the chance to get a legendary 6-star piece, and like possibly 6 of them. So you buy 6 of them, so that's 36 pieces, and it's just you spending money on the game to make your account better. So my goal is to try to get you to want to download the game and play the game as a free-to-play player over a pay-to-play player, because they have a huge connotation that they are a pay-to-win game and not a free-to-play friendly game. So first thing in the game is account progression. So there's 4 things. You're ascending your champions, you're ranking up your champions, you're leveling up your champions, and you're booking your champions. With this, there's not a huge pay-to-play aspect of it. Like once you get your champion, you can essentially buy books in the shop, right? Or you can buy your potions to level up, or your potions to rank up your champions. But at this part of the game, it's more free-to-play friendly because everyone still has to run the same dungeons, still the same events. I mean, if you want to get the best like rewards on the side, some people may pay money to it, but this is more free-to-play friendly in the game, and it's like probably the best way to, or this is where you're going to be spending the most of your time in the game. Next is in-game activities. So first off, there's tournaments and fusions. So your tournaments will be your dungeons, your classic arena and tag team arena, then your champion training and your champion chase. So on the side here, this is a screenshot of my game today of what 3 events are going on, and then like where I was at inside my lobby. So you'll see there's a classic arena, which is where your PvP will be at. There's your Fire Night tournament, which is where you run to get gear, and there's a champion training tournament, which is where you're leveling up your champions to get points. In the Fire Night tournament, you can see that I have 2,100 points right here, and the top guy has 8,200 points. When you see like a huge discrepancy in points compared to me as a free-to-play player towards that 8,200 points, you notice that you can already tell that that person has been spending money to try to get to the top of the leaderboards, especially because they can get all this extra resources. But as a free-to-play, you're able to do all the free rewards on the right side without spending a single dollar. Next is events and fusions. Same thing, you'll have your dungeon divers, your artifact enhancement, your summon rush, and champion training. These events are strictly just by yourself. There's no competition in it. It's whether or not you want to finish it or not. So these are basically just free rewards. If you want to spend money, you can, but it's more towards the free-to-play player because they know that people aren't going to be going as hard since there's no technically a competition for either these rewards on the side here or the global leaderboard. Next is PvP and PvE content. So within the game, there's PvP, which is player versus player. You have your clan versus clan, your tag arena, and classic arena. The biggest thing about PvP content is that there is a paywall. So normally the people who are pay to play or pay to win, those are basically the guys that you're going to be facing against. So PvP is more not free to play friendly because it's basically just stuck behind who has the bigger credit card. Now, PvE content, which is player versus enemy. There's your dungeons, your Doom Tower, your faction wars, and your clan boss. So PvE content is more basically free to play, but with PvE content, it's where you don't have any competition with other people. So mainly my point is that most players in games, or you could say like RuneScape, stuff like that, they more strict to PvE content, right? Where you don't have to always spend money towards it. PvP, a lot of people in games like maybe possibly Clash of Clans, Raid Shadow Legends, Clash Royale, their PvP content is basically strict behind a paywall. And then in conclusion, Raid Shadow Legends is a competitive, fantasy-themed, turn-based, strategic role-playing gacha game that basically anyone can play. Yo!